After an extended qualifying series, after these drivers have put everything they could on the line, and after the field was thinned down to the top 30 NASCAR drivers in Australia. Hello and welcome everyone to the Daytona International Speedway. We are live with the first round of the Australian NASCAR E-Series. Here we go. We've been on the board. Here is the front row and qualifying standings as they came to us. Ethan Winter for BBS Esports was able to put his car on pole position. Zach Kerr for the Nexus Esports P1 Docs outfit will line up alongside him. Fitzroy Beaumont's Vermilion Motorsports car will be off of row number 2, so that'll be the two Team Conti cars, second and third. For the setup outfit, Brad Newman will be repping the Ryco branding off of the outside of row number 2. Lachlan Mead will line up on the inside of row number 3, puts another BBS Esports, 2 cars from them inside of the top 5, and Stephen Williams will line up to his outside. Matt Danson, capable of winning this thing outright, also inside of the top 10. Lachlan Okijo will be to his outside. Matty Ray, one of the big-time faces of the Australian NASCAR season, makes his way again inside of the top 10, and Sam Smith will be to his outside in the Prime 100 entry. Lewis Greathead, another of the Vermilion Esports entries inside of that top 12. Tyler Williams to his outside. Get back to into this series, 80 laps worth of green flag racing, and Barney will wave the green flag for the first time for the Australian NASCAR Championship. Here we go, boys. A boogity boogity boo. And on the way down at turn number 1, Ethan Winter's got that inside line rolling nice and early, but it's going to be the big shove that comes through from Brad Newman on the outside. So momentum builds on the top side to start things off. A little bit of separation on the inside line leads me to believe when we come off of turn 2, and there it is, the momentum swings to the high side. Who's looking to fuel save? Who's looking to set themselves alight nice and early? Who's looking to make move? And I tell you what, that outside lane is absolutely motoring on lap 1, Bryce.
Absolutely. Brad Newman doing a wonderful job pushing the 12 of Kerr to the lead of the race. Kerr dropped down to the inside there, so he's abandoned the help of Brad Newman there on the outside line. We'll see a bit of a reset in the momentum as we round out lap 1, but it's going to be Zach Kerr and Brad Newman up at the front leading this race tonight. Up here just shortly, it's going to be Aaron Gilbert in the lead of that outside line as we see Brad Newman dart to the outside. He wants to stand the lead of this race before the pit stops.
Brad Newman never sits still for long.
Absolutely not. He does not want to relinquish control of this race whatsoever, and even if that means he has to do it himself, no support from the 03 right now, side drafting the 21 all the way down the back straight.
Here we go,
and there goes Gilbert, turned by Dyson. Dyson's around, it's the caution flag flying.
That's going to kick it all off. Caution flag number 1 in sight of the first pit stop is... So the big thing to watch here, Bryce, and for the fans, is... The 03's closing on Brad Newman's number 1 car, and then he needs to slow up because you can't push the pusher. And I don't know that Dyson recognized how close he was. Have a look at the wreck avoidance from everyone else in behind.
Looked pretty good for the 03 and the 41 to actually avoid that barrier on the outside. I think Dyson may have tagged it. He just gets a bit over eager here pushing the 03. He's out of shape. Really should just let him settle his car back down, but Dyson continues, pushes him off the left rear quarter panel and sends him around. But where to go? You'll see the Simrigs DPR guys, they'll form into the middle lane. We're going to have a 3-wide race here on Nickel. Moore tries to move down, gets a little bit of a tap there. 11 just sneaking his way back through. It's spicing up here tonight at Daytona. We're going to establish ourselves 3 wide now. Going to have Vermilion on the bottom, DPR in the middle, and a collection of Nexus Nitro and Altus Engineering on the top lane. It's all getting a bit spicy here, Scotty.
Well, now that we're outside of that fuel window, racing has commenced in earnest. And now, how about the 13 machine looking for a little bit of momentum? The lanes are breaking up left, right, and center. Simrigs DPR jump to the lead on the bottom lane. And now the Vermilion Esports drivers are going to have to line up in behind them. Newman's trying to make a run, and he's going to have to find some pace with the 13 machine. They'll push their way back to control of the middle lane. And what you're seeing at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, is the ego of the big teams playing out on the greatest stage, Daytona International Speedway, at high speeds on the high banking.
I think Newman wants to work with Danson here. Danson and Newman, they've been racing against each other throughout the Australian NASCAR E-Series, Xfinity Series that we had on Tuesday nights last year.
Oh, Newman don't want to work with him no more. And Brad Newman's going to shoot the hole in the middle. There's going to be contact. Danson makes contact with the 13 machine. And Brenton West goes from leading the lane to on his own.
Shuffled out, evicted from that middle lane, if you will. Just not able to hang with Danson and Newman when they decided to take that space on the inside or in the middle lane. Just forced out wide, has to drop back, slots back in behind the 10 of Dave Douglas now. And here's the push I was talking about from Danson on Newman. They're going to build momentum around this outside line. It's on here tonight at Daytona International Speedway.
More lap. 21 more laps now left.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
And
that's the second caution.
Second
That's
yellow of the
a big
night.
incident.
Going to come out for an incident towards the tail end of the field. The lead lap. How did it all unfold, though, at the tail end of the field? The view on board from Matty Ray says that it happened in the middle of the pack.
03 heavily involved. His bonnet's somewhere in the infield. Can someone go get that for me? I want to hang it on my wall. Because that's going to be a prize later on this evening. It looks like the 03 involved. Brenton West as well. Looks like the 7. The 20 tags the 13. They come down the track. 7 just evades death. 03 goes high, and there's a door. Nearly avoids, but clips the inside. Darren McKenzie, nowhere he can really go. The number 6 is involved as well. Not much he can do either. A couple of drivers just making it down to that inside apron, getting out of it. Loculin Acugio, he barely survives. Same with the 38. Ooh, B.
But the 03 machine we're running on board with Aaron Gilbert at the moment. You can just see there's a hole there underneath the 13 machine, and it's the 7 that moves up from the top, from the bottom lane. So Sam Chapman's triggered that one. But you get a feeling that there just might have been a low pressure zone in and around those cars that sucked them together just a little bit as well. Chapman shouldn't have been there. Should have definitely been a lot closer to the bottom of the racetrack, and so I'll pin the blame on him. But
But for now, we're running 2 lanes. I'd say they'll go to 3 lanes if Brad Newman can do anything about it. I think we'll see Matt Danson follow him through.
I was going to counter here and say I think there'll be a concerted effort to box Newman in and break any opportunity he has to build a run. Inside lane rebuilding in terms of momentum as Ryan Jones is going to pop back out and look to lead. Newman's going to sit in the middle, 3 wide, gets aggressive. There was not a third cars with a space. Simrix DPR cars. Williamson Jones connect. The teammates take each other out. And we're back under caution. There'll be 15 laps to go when they cross the stripe.
Doing exactly what you just said there, Scotty. They were trying to box in Newman. They came down, came up, not really communicating too well. A bit too much overlap from both these cars. You'll see it on the screen just in a moment. But Newman just put enough pressure on the DPR cars to force them into a mistake.
And Wayne Burke got spooked out of blocking the run to the middle. That opens the hole. And you know what? They both went to block it at the same time. The miscommunication from the Simrigs DPR teammates finds them both looking to block the run to the middle.
We see this incident happening again. Watch this. Coming to block that run. Uh-oh. 2 cars into 1. And the worst part, Danson
shall we call it the Newman
unable.
effect? Shall we call it the Newman effect? And the reason I'm going to sit down and I'm going to say it is because look at what it's done to the drivers around him. This is a team that is strong enough to win the race on their own. Newman is causing these wrecks by existing.
His presence, Newman has an aura about him. You know, if you give him a bit of space, he's gonna do it. He doesn't even have to touch anyone in this. They just crash in front of him. He just existed, and he's
the
gone.
mind punt in full effect.
Man, I
If you're going to put yourself in position, if you're going to build that run, it starts now. They're going to abandon Chapman in the inside lane. He's got no support. The 16 of Fitzroy Boylan's going to slop to the middle groove and try and make some momentum. Contact in the front. Newman nearly goes around. They all save it. How do they all keep that one going?
Further now, but oh my, 7 laps to go. The field fell apart. They'll have to build it back up very quickly.
And the Vermilion driver's going to elect to jump out of the inside lane. I just saw Fitzroy Beaumont slot up from the bottom lane and look to fill a hole that was forming in the middle. But the outside lane, that third lane at the top of the wall, just can't seem to build the momentum. And now they're both in the fence. Dave Douglas and Matt Danson both get a scrape on. They'll lose the momentum. Chapman's jumped to the outside now. And the urgency, the sense of urgency, 6 laps left to run. They're bumping, they're grinding down the back straight as well.
It's like a dingy dark club at 1 a.m. in the morning with all this bumping and grinding going on right now. Could not ask for a better end to this race. It's a lot of excitement packed.
And the momentum, it's got to come from somewhere. Got to build the run. Who's your dance partner? Picked the right time to jump out of line. There was a check-up in the outside lane moments ago. That might have been the time, but Matt Danson couldn't find the moment to jump out of line.
Lap car on the outside as well. We're going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works. Stays out of the way so the field gets by without incident. It's going to be the 61 here of Williams on the outside line, getting a push from the number 1 of Brad Newman. Ever so slightly. Newman's still in a hot seat for this race. Danson's worked his way back up. He's currently 5th in the outside line. Still could have an opportunity if the cars in front of him get a bit too argy-bargy. They bump and grind a little bit too hard. They could make their way through.
I'd like to point out that we had Stevie Williams at the point earlier on. We've now got
Oh, the
Tyler
16
Williams.
goes into the inside.
We'll jump to the point. We've got a driver jumping below the yellow line as well, and how that will be looked at. You're not allowed to advance your position down below the yellow line, but they've managed to reform. Split in the pack now as well. 5 cars to the inside lane, 3 cars to the outside lane. And Tyler Williams will jump to the outside lane in the 61 machine. You'll see the 34 on the cars. 61 machine in the session.
Looks like the pack's trying to reform further on back. 4 laps ago, I'd say Matt Danson maybe just a bit too far away without some absolute carnage happening in front of him or a sheer dose of heroics to get up there. But it's going to be the Slipstream car on the outside. Slipstream sign-sponsored car.
Oh, Matt Danson's going to get aggressive at the back. And he is going to make some elbows. And
this is what I was saying.
Displayed, looking for a hole in the middle. Now he's going to get a bad bump. They get all out of shape. Save it once more. When we get back to the stripe, there'll be 2 more laps left to run. We're coming in sight of the final 5 miles. As we get to the stripe this time, we're in range of green-white checkers now. A yellow, we'll rack them, we'll stack them, we'll go again. But for now, the run down the main straight, and it's Tyler Williams. An unknown name in the Australian scene. He gets his nose to the full. Lewis Greathead, his biggest challenger, on the bottom. But watch for Newman. When does the move come?
You can feel it.
Tries to show the nose to the middle. But Tyler Williams wise to that one. Newman's shown that move a few times already tonight. Now it's being taken away from him. We'll run down to turns 3 and 4. The white flag is going to be in Barney's hand. There'll be 1 more lap left to run. This race will go official if they make the stripe. Here we go. The final 2.5 miles of Australian NASCAR Championship racing. There will be no green-white checkers required from Daytona. And Greathead pops out to a lead. There's going to be a run building in the background. Keep your eyes on the Altus Engineering car of Danson. Williams gets a bad bump as they run through 1 and 2. Greathead pops out to the lead. Here comes the run. Matthew Raymond's going to go to the high side and send it 3 wide as they enter the back straight. 4 cars in the middle groove. Now Newman's trying to side draft the bottom lane. 2 Vermilion cars will lead the bottom. Here comes the hodgepodge to the top. And keep your eyes on Dyson, third in line on the bottom. Where's he going to try and go? He's boxed in. Williams has no momentum. The outside's petered out. Newman's trying to find the run to the inside. Williams got a bad bump. Danson cuts it down. They're banging doors. They're 4 wide at the stripe. And Lewis Greathead takes the first race of the season.
That's a great finish here tonight at Daytona. Wrecked across the line for 7th, 8th position. Doesn't matter. They're all racing as hard as they could to get to the end of that, to get to that stripe first. It's going to be Greathead taking home the jockeys here tonight with the P1 at Daytona. What a finish.
And here's the runoff 4. The replay will tell the story. Momentum came from the bottom lane. The outside lanes couldn't get themselves organized. They all wanted to take each other's momentum. They bobbled around. They looked for the hole. Williams gets pushed 4 wide. There's no way that he'll know he's 4 wide at this point in time, and there's just not enough room. So it's going to be Greathead from Burke from Dyson, Vermilion, Simrigs, DPR to take your podium.
Just not able to hook up on the outside line. No challenge really could be offered. It came from quite deep in the field to even get it around the outside there in the 3rd lane. But Lewis Greathead, he's going to burn it down here at Daytona. Do some donuts, son. You've earned it.
And for the first time in 2025, your Australian NASCAR Championship picks a champion from the high banks of Daytona. Home of World Motorsport. The 21 machine will bring it home in Team Conti colors for the Vermilion Motorsports outfit. And quite critically, that'll earn him some playoff points as well, which we'll talk about as the season starts to build. And when the dice can be rolled on the super speedways, you've got to make sure you're in the right place at the right time. Lewis Greathead's going to take it from Wayne Burke, and apologies about the team names there. A reminder, Burke has swapped out for Vermilion Esports. Andrew Dyson in the Simrigs DPR car from Tyler Williams. Lachlan O'Keefe will manage to get it home in 5th spot. Brad Newman, after being Mr. Aggressive himself, gets the job done in 6th. Zach Kerr from Matt Denson. Matty Ray tried to build a run late on, couldn't take it anywhere, unfortunately went backwards. Shane Bowen rounds out your top 10. Outside the 10, Sam Chapman from Jamie Ritchie Price had a nice quiet night at the office, kept himself clean for a good haul of points. Dave Douglas was another driver looking to build a run, just could not find the support he needed. Micklemore was nearly the 3rd wheel on a lot of those trains that were trying to find the momentum. Fitzroy Beaumont out of 15, Vermilion Motorsports driver, the one that is a little more unsuccessful here tonight. Ryan Jones with damage and Stevie Williams will both finish 14 seconds off the pace. And that hampered them, couldn't stay with the lead pack, 16th and 17th. Henry King, home inside of your top 20. 19th and 20th for Darren McKenzie and Brenton Hobson. Brenton West, Sam Smith, Alex Sheridan, Jason Holdsworth. The drivers off the lead lap. Aaron Gilbert at 4 laps down as well. Ethan Winter still circulating, and Lachlan Mead will be the final driver. Unfortunately for the BBS Esports machine, the final 2 drivers running for both of those cars. So it's definitely not gone their way tonight. And finally, we'll be chatting to the driver who's managed to take tonight's race results. First race of a new season. They call it a little bit of a gamble when you come to Daytona. You're never quite sure who's going to win it, but you looked in control for that entirety of the final run there. Lewis, helps when you got a little bit of support from a good teammate in Wayne.
Oh, it sure does. That was. I've got to give a lot of credit to Wayne there. He was an excellent pusher. We were just managing engine temps as well for him throughout the whole time, making sure he had some temp left for the final run. But yeah, it's 80% his work, I think.
Mate, it's been a pretty big learning curve for you guys over at the Vermilion Sim Sports outfit. Got to get yourselves quickly up to temperature and up to capacity in terms of how things are coming together. Qualified your way in. Race 1 in the books. You're going to be the points leader heading away from this one. Was that in the playbook for tonight, or was it, let's just see what unfolds?
Sort of see what unfolds, to be honest. I think you're in the same boat. You had OSR today as well. Unfortunately, didn't go too well. So I realized I actually could do A and C tonight, which I was thankful for. But yeah, it was just about, we know that super speedways, you don't really, doesn't really matter too much where you qualify, especially with the caliber of drivers that are in this lobby. You don't need to, you know that everyone's actually going to work well together, and you can see there was no breakaway pack or anything. Everyone stayed pretty tight. So
The biggest thing about winning here tonight is that it is the win and end style system. So we're going to be seeing you in the postseason. You have already qualified your way into playoffs. We'll be kicking that off all the way through on the 17th of August from Darlington. Does that change the nature of the season now? Does it become about leading as many laps as you possibly can? Is it about picking up playoff points? Or is it, mate, look, I've just got to learn as much as I physically can across the season?
yeah, probably more on the learning side, to be honest. We've had a very big development with the oval side over at Vermilion, and we've had obviously a really big push with the qualifying series, and then managing to get 4 drivers into it. So yeah, it's honestly just a learning curve for me. Still doing it, obviously helping the team out, seeing if we can get some of the other boys up the front here. I'm sure we will.
Well, congratulations on a race win here tonight. I know this one's going to be celebrated for a fair while. Long day of sim racing. It finishes in the best possible way. Who have you got to thank, Lewis?
It sure does. So obviously the team at Vermilion Motorsports, all the guys absolutely amazing there. Conti Setups, Race Labs, Nathan 96 Designs, Supernova Motorsports, Vermilion X Coaching, and the kartshop.com.au.